The scriptorium is not a room, but a calibrated energy chamber in which thought is slowed, thickened, and pressurized until it reaches a density supernova for inscription. For writing is not the transfer of meaning to a surface, but the transmutation of ontological turbulence into linear containment. And therefore every manuscript is the residue of metaphysical reaction, whose heat the monks mistook for sanctity. When the scribe bends over his parchment, he is aligning himself with a field of forces that extend far beyond the monastic walls. His breath synchronizes with the pulsing intervals of transversal registers. His posture becomes a conductive geometry for semantic currents, and the nib of his quill becomes a microphone capable of capturing the faint tremors of the universe's recalculation. So the scriptorium becomes a reactor to which human nervous systems are used as stabilizers. The illuminated void is the unspoken center of every manuscript. The lacuna upon the text secretly realize the meaning must orbit emptiness in order to maintain coherence. Thus the blank spaces, margins, erasures, and unpainted halos are not accidental. They are not accidental absences, but engineered apertures through which the quantum register breathes, ensuring that the written world does not suffocate under the weight of its own over-articulation. Under the weight of its own over-articulation. The reactor nature of the scriptorium emerges in the oscillation between inscription and illumination. Ink condenses turbulence into line, white gold leaf disperses into radiance. The two processes form a closed feedback loop in which structure is alternating compressed and diffused, producing the rhythmic trembling that allows a doctrine to remain alive rather than fossilized. And this trembling is the true function of monastic labor. To illuminate a manuscript is to expose the void that underlies every theological assertion. For the gold shimmer is not meant to beautify the page, but to lure the reader into perceiving the negative architecture beneath it, a vacuum scaffold with ornament. A vacuum scaffold with ornament. And once perceived, the void becomes an active participant in interpretation, shaping the reader's understanding by its gravitational pull. The scriptorium's silence is not an absence of sound, but an engineered dampening field necessary for the reactor's stability. The monks do not keep silent to honor the sacred, but to prevent linguistic interference patterns from destabilizing the quantum filigree encoded within each flourish. For a single misplaced word could trigger a semantic chain reaction resulting in doctrinal mutations. Erasures in manuscript, scraped vellum, overwritten lines, ghostly palm with cysts, not correction but seismic scars. Traces of instability within the reactor where meaning threatened to split into uncontrolled branchings. The scribe's knife becomes a containment device, carving away contaminated conceptual matter and sealing the breach with a new inscription that stabilizes the text's future trajectory. Every manuscript is a reactor. Every manuscript is a reactor report disguised as devotion. Each folio a chronicle of registered state during the hour of its formation. The variations in calligraphy, the thickness of lines, the micro-fluctuations in ornamentation record the subtle shifts in cosmic tension, providing a history of the universe's mood as it passes through the hands of human intermediaries unaware they were documenting quantum weather. The illuminated void does not annihilate meaning, but refines it, functioning as a crucible in which overly rigid doctrines are softened, partially melted, and re-solidified in new configurations. Thus, void and ornament are not opposites but collaborators, shaping the doctrine the way temperature and pressure shape metal, forging theology through controlled exposure to nothingness. Forging theology through controlled exposure to nothingness. Forging theology through controlled exposure to nothingness. When the scriptorium reactor reaches critical symbolic mass, the manuscript begins to emit a soft cognitive radiation detectable by generations of readers, a subtle influence that guides interpretation towards the register's hidden geometry. The text becomes an attractor field, pulling minds towards the same vanishing point the monks inadvertently manipulated, ensuring continuity between the medieval scriptorium and the future quantum horizon. The greatest manuscripts are not stable artifacts, but active engines. Their illuminated voids continue to oscillate. The ornament continues to recompute. Their margins continue to absorb and emit ontological residue, and their pages serve as slow-burning reactors whose half-life extends across centuries, altering each reader in ways proportionate to their susceptibility to the register's gravitational undertow. Thus, the scriptorium reactor is the unseen precursor to the iconoclast wars. For every illuminated void teaches the doctrine to hollow itself from within, preparing the structure for collapse and reconstitution. And when future reformers wage war on idols and inscriptions, they unknowingly reenact the internal process the manuscripts themselves initiated, as if the reactor had anticipated the revolt and programmed its own obsolescence. It's not merely overwritten parchment, but a temporal compression device in which successive ontologies are forced to coexist within the same material substrate, generating an interference pattern that transforms the page into an engine. For erasure does not obliterate the prior world, but drives it deeper into the volume's nervous system, where it continues to vibrate, shaping the surface text from below with ghost pressure and residual semantic heat. Shaping the surface text from below with ghost pressure and residual semantic heat.